to the next episode of Perspectives with Jeremiah Stephenson. And today I have a friend of mine, Brandon Luaces. I want to say Clarician for some reason. I'm thinking Star Wars slightly. I don't know why.
I had a boss once call me that, and I was like, oh my god. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Cool. And then you didn't take it with you? You're like, I'm going to leave it with the Star Wars property. They can keep
I took it with me when I had to remake a Facebook, because I didn't have one for a while, and then I had to make one, which I'm sure we'll get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, I had to remake Facebook, and I was just like, I'm gonna be a fucking clown.
Nice.
And yeah,
awesome. Brandon is a wonderful photographer. He's got a really cool story. I'm really excited to get into this. As always, I'm gonna start up and we're gonna talk about a little bit, and then I'm gonna be like, let's jump into it. But usually I just start by, what's your story? Who are you? Who are you as a human being? And let's let the world know.
Well, as he said, my name's Brandon. I am I guess, artist. I've done my mom's side of the family is very artistic. My dad is not. And I've lived with my mom my whole life. So, growing up with that, you kind of, I guess, start doing it. Mm-hmm. I've drawn, I've kind of painted. I hated doing it because I sucked at it always. I did photography a little bit in early high school. I stopped. I don't remember why I stopped. I was in a band for 4 years.
What'd you play? What instrument?
I played bass.
Okay.
And we were a stupid drop A sharp heavy band.
So if if Avery ever needed to if you got sick for a show,
oh no, dude, Avery actually,
would you be able to come in for Goodfires?
Avery can actually play bass. I played a lot of open notes.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and then I was able to get back into photography a few years ago. And it was kind of I was what, 22, I think? Yeah, I was 22, and, throughout my early, I'm only 25 now, but my early 20s, a lot of people were like, what are you doing with your life? You're not doing anything. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I was able to get back into it. And I was like, I love doing this. And I mean, it was very it was nothing like what I do now.
Right.
And yeah, I was just taking pictures of whatever I could, whenever I could do it. And then this probably sounds like some kind of made up story, but my family went to a casino in Murphy for my oldest brother's 27th birthday or something like that.
Okay.
And I brought $20 to go, and I was just if I want to make money to buy a new lens. Okay. That would be sick. And so, I spent my $20, didn't really get anywhere. My grandpa, gave me money. He's like, this is from grandma for Christmas.
Nice.
And he's like, oh, this is from me for Christmas too. And then my aunt's partner at the time was also like, here's, 20 more bucks.
Okay.
And I wasn't having much luck until I started playing this game that was called, what was it called? I think I have it on my phone.
And so you can always pull it up.
It was kind of like a blackjack type game.
Okay.
But it was virtual blackjack.
See,
the game doesn't matter, but I'm playing it and my grandpa's helping me. Mm-hmm. And at one point, I don't remember what the cards looked like or whatever, but I just did it, and then the thing just went. And I'm like, okay, sick. I'm winning money right now.
I don't know how much money, but I'm winning something.
Yeah, I'm like, cool. It's at 300. It's going to stop, sick. And I'll buy this new lens that I want. and it kept going.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay, it's going to stop at 500. And it kept going. And it stopped at $1,025.
Jeez.
And I was like, I'm buying a new camera body. And what was it, 2017, I'm going to take a serious attempt at doing photography.
So dang, that's cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I have a picture on my phone of me like the thing stopped. Mm-hmm. I hit the cash out ticket. I was like, I'm done.
I'm not doing anything else. I'm not losing any more money.
Yeah, if I keep playing, I'm probably going to lose all of this. And I have a picture I took of me like fast walking to the whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
And the picture's like really blurry and like the ticket's like really blurry, but you see it says cash out $1,025.
Dope.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
That's awesome. So I met Brandon 2 years ago when I first moved up here to Atlanta. I'm going to apologize now. I had some congestion earlier this week. So.
Oh, dude, you're totally good.
Geez.
If anyone, understands that pollen is a thing, it's bad right now. Like all the way to your house, I was just like looking outside. And I was like, God, it's so hazy out here. Is that the pollen or is something on fire?
I didn't realize. Pollen, so. I've never had bad allergies until I moved here. I moved here, and I was like, "What the heck?" Like, it was so stupid.
Yeah.
But so I met you 2 years ago, and I think that's right around the time that you had just started your photography. Is that
would
because I got here like June.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
And I think that's right around the time I met you. And then, like, I heard little bits and pieces. And then I moved out of the house at the Beef Castle. And then we talked about it on the podcast. I don't have to explain it. Go back and listen to Tim Dunker's episode if you want clarification. But, like, several months later, I'm on Facebook. And then you're, like, taking pictures for all these shows. And you're running shit. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, this is dope. Like, my dude, for real. So what was that like? What was that transition into once you got your body and the lenses and you started perfecting your craft? What did that look like?
Well, it was more like, so when you want to take pictures at a show, especially for like touring bands, you need to like ask their publicist, or if you're with the website, they will ask the publicist for you. But if you're doing it freelance, you need to have a portfolio. So early on, a lot of it was like, I'm standing in a crowd taking pictures. Like I did it for, like in January, it was literally the day before I turned 23. I went to a show after work with some friends, and I was going to go see a band called Home Safe, and then in Heaven at the Masquerade, I think it was like Real Big Fish was playing also. Okay. It's like I was going to go to the Home Safe, my friends were going to Real Big Fish. We got in a car accident right before the exit. Oh, damn. I wasn't wearing my seatbelt like an idiot. My friend's like, it's only 10 minutes away, and I'm like, he's right. So my friend who drove, her dad came and picked her up. She totaled her car. Mm-hmm. Like, this thing was fucked. My friend, Robbie, like, we went to the show anyways. He went to that show. I went to the Home Safe show. Took some really bad pictures. Mm-hmm. And then I went over to Real Big Fish, watched that. And then Robbie's dad came and picked us up and... whatever. And then I think the next show I did that year where I was standing in the crowd was Counterparts. Because they were on tour with like, it was such a sick tour minus the headlining band. It was a band called Like Pacific. Okay. Opened, and they're so good. And then a band called Movements, who I didn't watch, but now I really love, and I wish I did watch them. Okay. And then Counterparts, and then Census Fail, which is whatever.
Wait, so who was the headlining band?
Census Fail. Okay. Which is like, they were like a big band in like 2000, like early 2000s. Okay. And just whiny, like way too whiny for me. And I listened to some really whiny stuff. Okay. But I mean, respect to them for what they've done for music and, you know, their following. I'm just personally not a fan.
Yeah.
And then the other show I did where I was standing in the crowd was Silent Planet. And they are just literally impossible to get like a photo pass through unless you like know them,
Mm-hmm.
which like they have a huge following in Atlanta, which it's crazy. But yeah, and then I think by that point, I had at least enough to show, you know, people like publicists like, hey, my name's Brandon. I do photography. I'd love to come, you know, take pictures of blah, 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 blah. And then the first, like I had done shows, in 2017, like late 2017 also with my old camera, and they were really bad because that camera, lots of technical camera stuff, but
the camera should not be able to do.
Yeah. And so by that point it was like spring 2017, and I had enough to show like, hey, like I was saying, hey, I'm Brandon, I can do this, blah, blah, blah. Right. And the first show I had actually gotten a photo pass for was a band called Oceano. Mm-hmm. And they're like a stupid heavy, like dumb heavy band.
Yeah.
And it was them. It was a band called Spite, I think, opened. And then a local band, like an Atlanta local band, opened that tour. Spite. Another band, I think it was called No Zodiac.
Okay.
And then a band called Slaughter to Prevail, which is like a Russian, like scary, heavy band.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds dope.
And then Oceano. And then I did that, and that was like the first show I ever actually got a photo pass for. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was sitting at Cumberland Mall with my friends, and I got the email notification, and I was like, yeah! And then after that, I got a photo pass for a band called Broadside. They were on tour with Real Friends, and after that, it was kind of dead for me for a while, until I had joined the website that I shoot for called Bullet Music. And then the first show I did with them was Goo Goo Dolls, which was super sick. And it was at this venue that I don't remember. It's called Chastain Amphitheater. I think it's under a different name now, but that venue is like an uppity, like you pay lots and lots of money to sit in like the actual, like what would be like an actual normal crowd area or whatever.
Right.
And so I had heard like, yeah, at this venue you have to shoot from the soundboard, and luckily I had found a like zoom lens at a Goodwill. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I bought it, and it was like this like really old cheap zoom lens, but it worked. And then we get there, and they're like, yeah, well, you guys can shoot from the photo pit, which there really wasn't one. It was just we're standing in front of all these people who have fold out tables, or like drinking wine, you know, eating their hummus and all that stuff. And yeah, it was like 3 songs, and then we were escorted out, and it was super sick. And then yeah, nice. That's I can't remember all the other shows I did in 2017, but
so we're 18. I was like, we're 18, 19.
Yeah,
crazy. When you go to shoot, what do you look for? What is it that you look for when you go to shoot in terms of location wise, trajectory towards the stage? How do you set up your shots? We are going to get technical, and then we're going to go back to just like talking about random shit. And if you're not that technical with it, if you just like are amazing at like, I just go here and I take a shot.
I mean, that's kind of it's kind of a hard thing to like I'm not the best with like doing really crazy angles because I always get like really self-conscious about like, you know, people like get on one knee and they'll be like shooting up, and I'm like, I fucking hate doing that.
So I'm not gonna do it.
But I just kind of like, what I'll do a lot of the time is like, you know, if the singer's doing something really cool, or like the guitar player or whatever, I'll just like focus on them and let my shutter go for like 5 seconds, and then I end up with like 40 pictures from it. Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of like planning out. It's just whoever's doing something really cool.
Okay.
And with the website I shoot for, they have like a certain like list of shots they want, and I don't necessarily follow it because I think it's stupid to like, hey, I know that you do your thing, but like do this too. Which is why I love to freelance a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How frequent are your like freelance jobs?
I think last year, God, I would say it's like for concerts, it's maybe like 50-50 between freelancing and shooting for a bullet. But like doing stuff outside of that, like I did a couple of weddings last year. That's like just about never, which is kind of sucks, but it's been picking up a little more this year that I'm getting paid by friends to do things.
Okay.
But yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna ask you one more photography related question, and then we're gonna go back to you as a person in life.
Right.
What was that question? It was who are
Oh boy.
No. Like, who are like some of like your favorite bands that you've gotten to take photos for? Yeah.
Man.
Like, what's some of your most memorable moments thus far?
Right off the top of my head, in December I did Every Time I Die, and it was like their 20-year anniversary tour.
Okay.
Which is like crazy. They've been a band for 20 years because I remember listening to them when I was like 12 and thinking, wow, this is wild.
This is cool.
But it was in Heaven at the Masquerade, and they had the barricade open, which was also like crazy. And there was not the barricade, the balcony.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been to the new Masquerade.
I don't know if I've been to the new Masquerade,
but they have a balcony in Heaven that they built.
Okay, I've only been to Purgatory.
Right.
I've never been allowed to go to Heaven or Hell. I stick around in Purgatory.
Right. But so normally, like at shows, if you're taking pictures, there's going to be the barricade, right? Where crowd surfers are going over it, people are grabbing them. That's the photo pit. There wasn't one for this show, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking die. And normally when that happens, I just get like overly mad, which is like really stupid and unprofessional on my end to be like visibly and verbally like very mad about it. But I was like, whatever, dude, like Every Time I Die is playing and they're sick, and Turnstile is playing and they are really sick.
Yeah.
And of all the shows I did last year, I did like 40 something shows last year between freelancing and the website I shoot for, and that one was like my all-time favorite.
Nice.
It was so much fun. Like, dude, Turnstile, they came on and they opened with the song called Real Thing.
Okay. And
that song just opens like a dun 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 dun, and it's just like brings the wildness out of people. So like people just flying off the stage. I got clobbered by someone.
For real.
I was like, I'm gonna die. And then I got pictures of Turnstile, and I left the crowd because I didn't want to die. And then Every Time I Die went on, and it was just, they are a high energy band.
Okay. And
it was incredible. And I got this really cool shot where the vocalist was like, I was like kind of close to the front, like we're touching the stage. I was, a couple people in between me and the stage, and the vocalist comes up and he's like bending over, and I like had the focus right, and dude, and it just a super cool picture.
Nice.
Spite is also another band that I love to take pictures of. They're a very high energy band, and they are like a band that it's pretty much what I feel like being mad insane sounds like through music. Under Oath is a I got to do them twice last year, and both times was just incredible. I got to do The Story So Far, which is like one of my all-time favorite bands. And that was another thing. Like last year, I got to do a lot of pretty much every single one of my favorite bands.
Nice.
Like I did that. I did the Wonder Years. That was a lot of fun. I did The Used, which was like that show meant a lot to me because I was asking about it and they were like, we can't approve you because you're not shooting through a website. And I was like, damn. But then someone else came in the email and was like, hey, I really like your pictures. Like, can you at least get a ticket and we'll give you a photo pass?
Right.
And so I was able to find someone on like the event page who sold me a ticket for like $15.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I got to go do that show and like, oh God, it was like 13-year-old me was just like so giddy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that because you know how like there's a lot of people that they get into different type of industries and like do things and they have people that they really look up to and they're like, it's taken me so long to get to this point to where I can work with these people.
Yeah.
But you have already, within the 2 years of your photography, you've already gotten to do a lot of what you've wanted to. Or you've gotten to see a lot of people that you used to grow up with. You've gotten to shoot for people that like you really look up to and like listen to their music and everything. So that's like super freaking dope.
Yeah, only if My Chemical Romance came back and I would literally explode.
So that was literally my next question was going to be like, who is like your top person that you haven't shot yet that you would love to shoot for? Person or band, like
realistically,
fuck realistically, your ultimate like dream.
There's not like a set like one band thing. Like I would if my chem came back, absolutely. Like I would sell my soul to go to that. Especially like I've been listening to them a lot recently, and like, dude, they were just so good.
Yeah.
I would love to do SZA.
Oh, okay.
Like that would be incredible.
Yeah.
I'd really love to do also like Daniel Caesar. That'd be so sick. I'd love to do Adele. I don't know. I don't really try and do like really, really big shows.
Right.
Because when you are in a really, really big show, you are also facing a lot of like restrictions and venue enforced rules and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or, you know, a really big show, sometimes the artist, I would assume, would request that no one's in the actual photo pit. Like you have to shoot from the soundboard or whatever. Okay. Like a photographer I follow on Instagram just did both nights of Casey Musgraves that happened like yesterday and the day before. And I'm assuming that it was her request or whatever, but all his shots were like from the barricade or like from the balcony. And I was like, dang, they really did that to you? Like, you know, at that point, just don't approve anybody. Right. Because no one, I personally think it's just boring to look at pictures of like, you know, you're really far away and I have to zoom in and it's just.
It takes away the effect of it. Like at that point, just pull your phone out and just be like. Yeah. And you can't get. Just like this, literally cannot get the same pictures and emotions like that you can get if you're in the barricade, in the photo pit, that you like have to work or whatever. Like you cannot get the same kind of pictures from far away, and I'm using a zoom lens, and it's just really boring. Yeah, you know. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, we're gonna come back to photography. This is awesome. Oh my gosh! Like I know I didn't talk a lot. Like, I was editing the other episode yesterday, and I was like, damn, I was talking a lot, but it was a lot of back and forth. But, like, this, like, I just wanted to hear, like, oh, my God, you've done a lot of shit, dude. So let's go to personal life. One of the questions I generally ask is, what were some challenges growing up? And, but because I kind of know some of your story, and I'm going to kind of relate it a little bit, we're going to tailor it.
Oh, dude. I relate. I try to relate to people a lot, so I mean, by all means, like if you want to relate and be vocal about it, like please do.
Yeah. So you didn't go to college.
No,
I didn't go to college.
Fuck that.
Like,
that's stupid.
I tried to. I got accepted like I got accepted 3 places. No, one was like you can come in, but we need you to take the SAT again.
Stupid.
Because you were 1 point on like the math thing, and I was like, bump that. Yeah. And then it was like, we accept you, but we need a bunch of money. I was like, bump that. Yeah. And then I could have gotten grants and stuff, but I was just like, I didn't know what the fuck to do. Yeah. I knew film was where I wanted to be in that like industry. But I didn't really know like how I was going to do it and all that stuff. Right. So I ended up, through the grace of God, just like things just came together. I met people. I came up here to Atlanta. I stayed with the guys at the Beef Castle. I dropped my resume off. Like, just people loved me and allowed me to. I used people in the most positive sense of the word to get to where I am now, and they helped me. So it wasn't. It's a give and take. So, and I'm in a decent place, and you're in a decent place now. And what was that like for you? Like, what was there a time where you're like, I want to try and go to college, or like, I don't want to go to college?
A ton of times.
Because like, I feel like as a young person, you're very much. So my sister's in high school right now, so she's like, I want to go to college, all this stuff. Like, she's definitely going to because she's smart AF.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. Like, she's like, I have to figure out my life now.
Right.
What was that like for you?
I mean, when you're in high school, like, you know how it is. Like, your teachers are like, you need to go to college. You need to figure this out. You have to do something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so crazy for you to have it figured out at 18 or whatever. You know, so I mean, like, growing up, like, I lived with my mom. My parents are divorced. And Mom, if you're listening, I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm so thankful for this and how you raised me and all my brothers. But my mom was like very, she wasn't extremely strict like my dad would have been. You know, she was just like, go to school and pass. And, you know, I think it's also kind of crazy to expect more out of your children than to just go to school and pass. So, you know, my mom, like, growing up, that's how my mom was, and that's how it was for me and all my brothers. How
many siblings do you have?
I have 3.
Okay, and you are in the
I am
middle?
number 3 of 4.
Okay, 3 or 4. Gotcha.
And it was like that for me and all my brothers. It was just like, go to school and pass. And, you know, in doing that, like in high school, like, I drew a lot. At one point, I wanted to make comics for newspapers. And my dad's parents, like my grandparents on my dad's side, are like, they work for a newspaper in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is like where I was born and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, we can get you a job with, you know, the Palm Beach Post and stuff like that. And then I stopped drawing, and around when that happened was when I got into photography. And so, you know, towards the end of high school, I was looking into college, like, you know, what most people do. I got accepted at the Art Institute of Atlanta for audio production because that's like what I thought I wanted to do at the time.
Right.
And then I didn't go. I withdrew my application because I was still living in Blue Ridge. I ended up having to get surgery on my foot right when I would have started school. So, you know, I was out of commission then, and like, I didn't have a car. And I didn't have housing situations figured out for if I were to actually go to the Art Institute. So I withdrew my application, and, you know, I had surgery, was, you know, dealing with that, and my foot was healing and stuff like that. And I went to visit my dad, and this was the last time I seen him. Went to go visit him, and he's like, your mother, blah, 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 blah. My dad's a very negative person, which is, I'm sure, where I get a lot of my negativity from. And he, like, kind of trapped me down there. You know, he's like, wow. I'm not going to pay for you to fly back. And, like, you know, my mom, plane tickets are expensive.
Right, yeah, for sure.
My mom, like, wasn't going to, he was like, your dad, you know, should send you back. And I was like, I was going through really what I thought was a really bad breakup. Like, you know, God, breakups were much worse after that. But I was like, you know, maybe I'll just, like, I haven't lived with my dad, you know, since I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'll just, like, live down here with my dad and, you know, start a new life. And so,
ambitions, y'all.
Yeah, I did that. My dad's like, you need to go to school, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, he's probably right. I'm not doing anything with my life.
Yeah.
But, my dad is just the most difficult person to live with on the planet. And dude, I remember, like, I've never wanted to, like, I wanted to jump off the fucking roof of his house.
Yeah.
Because he'd be complaining about something all the time.
Yeah. It's like the most minute thing that literally no one gives a shit about.
Yeah,
and it's like, if it's something that I need to take care of, it's something small and minute. Like, just tell me, hey, do this, please. Yeah. And then I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Like, don't make a big deal out of something that ain't.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
And he would say just vile things about my mom's side of the family. And, like, I remember one time he just said this really terrible thing about my aunt. And it, like he was just screaming and, like, brought me to tears. And he's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, what the fuck do you think?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I was talking to my mom and I was like, I do not want to stay here anymore. And she was like, I can't really help you with, like, a plane ticket back. Ask your grandfather. And so I did, and he, bought me a ticket to come back. And then I did. And, while I was down there, he's like, you need to go to college, you need to do this. I'm going to get you a job at the airport. You're going to be in Florida, by the way. You're going to be loading bags into airplanes. And I'm like, what the fuck makes you think I want to do that? So, I came back, and, there's no pressure from my mom to, like, you need to go to college. You need to do this. You need to do that. So, yeah, came back to Blue Ridge for... I think I was there for, like, another year, and then, like, my whole entire family moved to Ackworth. And, I dated people, throughout the last, like, 5 years of my life. I dated various people. And a lot of them were always like, you're not doing anything with your life. And, that was, like, one of the reasons why they broke up with me.
Yeah.
And, a lot of them were like, you need to go to college. And, like, one of them was. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I should go to college. And so I would, like, look into it. And I remember one day I, like, actually went to Chattahoochee Tech and, like, picked up, like a little information booklet thing.
Type thing. Yeah.
And, it wasn't just, like, ex-girlfriends that were like, you need to go to college. It was like, my friend Devin was like, you need to go to college. You need to figure out your life.
Yeah.
And the student I'm no longer friends with was like, you need to go to college and you need to figure out your life. And he's very much one of those, like, college is the answer for everything kind of people. And I'm like, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I looked into it several times, but every time I was looking into it, it was like, what do I want to go to college for? What do I want to be in so much debt for that I can't, for something that, like, I really don't want to do. I, like, if I have a backup plan, then what I really want to do, I don't want to do it that bad.
Yeah, I want to do it for, like, $50,000.
Yeah, like, yeah. I don't want a $50,000+ in debt backup plan. You know.
Yeah.
So
I think so. For me, it was very much I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I knew where I wanted to be. I just didn't know how to get there or how it looked like. And like, even as far as, like, backup plans go, I was working 2 jobs, I think, when I graduated high school. At one point, after my mom passed away, I worked 3 jobs. Like, I'm very much a workaholic, if given the ability and the chance to.
Right.
So I've never had a problem with, like, oh, I won't be able to make money. It's always been like, but, like, am I happy with myself?
Right.
Like, serving is one of my favorite things in the world because it, like, you learn how to deal with shit people.
Oh, yeah.
You learn how to deal with regular people. But it also gets to a point where, like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
There's shit that matters to me.
Right.
That is more important than your fucking cappuccino latte piece of shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the greatest things about serving is for you, the individual, the server, like, it helps you keep your life in perspective.
Right.
Because you very much are like,
yeah,
I can get set off real quick and we can end some shit. But, like,
yeah.
I'm still a human being. We're in a society. I need to just make sure, like, get your shit together. I'm going to go home and work on things that help me grow into who I want to be.
Right.
Because, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
I think that's a thing that you kind of come to realize with, like, any like service, like customer service or service industry type job, it's like you're gonna encounter those really shitty people, and it's gonna make you realize I do not want to serve people forever.
Yeah.
And whatever you end up doing, and in some way, shape, or form, you are serving people, or stuff like that. But I think definitely, like, when you're serving people food, it's a whole other thing. Food, drinks, it's like it brings out the worst in people. Like, someone's thing is wrong, it's like you kicked their dog off the planet, and they're like, what the fuck? What are you doing? What do you not have?
I had this one thing. What was it? Oh my gosh. I was working at the movie theater last year, and there was this couple that was trying to get some food. They're like, oh, is this stuff organic? I was like, no, this is a corporation. They don't care about organic foods and things like that. And it just became this whole back and forth. They ended up picking some food. The chefs, it was like some big opening weekend, so all the chefs were like cooking a bunch of food. My food hadn't come out yet. I checked on it, and I went back and I confirmed with them. I was like, hey, your food's on its way, all this stuff. They came out, she sent her boyfriend out, and he's like, I need some free drinks because the food's not out yet. And I was like, bro, I told you it'd be about this long. I've just confirmed with you that, like, the food's being cooked. They're having some issues. It's backed up, like, all this stuff. And it just went from there, and then they ended up walking out of the movie. And they're like, we're not going to be able to enjoy our movie because we didn't get our service that was, like, supposed to be given to us and all this stuff. And I was like, I can get my manager and everything. Like, our manager came out, and my manager ended up giving them, like, 2 free tickets because they're like, this is how can you, like, say this is a really good establishment and all this stuff? And I just was like, bitch, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, you are not impressing anybody. Like, you are literally here to watch a stupid fucking movie.
Yeah.
You're about to spend money for some overpriced shit. And just because it wasn't organic, like, I mean, if I was going to get, like, charged out the ass for something, it better be fucking organic.
Right.
But know where you're going. Like, calm down.
Yeah,
Jeez.
no.
Just, service industry, I always tell people, I think people need to work, most young people need to lifeguard.
Yeah.
Learn how to deal with people's lives in your hands. And service industry to deal with people's attitudes.
Yeah.
And I think those are 2 jobs that younger people should have so that you learn how to, like, learn how to interact with those other people. Because I feel like there's a lack of understanding other human beings.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
It is just still extremely surprising how, like, terrible and rude and there's just all these things that people are when they are out in public. Like, these adults that are out in public are terrible to people at their jobs. And it's like, why are you like this? You're an adult right now. Like, chill.
I think it shows how much we as people don't. There's a whole thought process that I just had. I think it shows the inability for us to understand how and why we feel the way we feel. And because of that, we're just going to take it out on somebody else. Or we're just going to act a certain way because I don't know what's going on with me and I don't know how it really affects me. Like, it's just, we're just going to, like, I'm a pop off real quick, boy. You tell me I don't get my cookie?
Yeah.
It's going to take me like 3 minutes to get my cookie? Boy, get my cookie. Like, dude, calm down.
I think it's like we've become a very self-centered generation of people.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you are inconveniencing me right now. So I don't care how I'm going to make you feel.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having a good time and I'm not getting what I want.
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, definitely every single one of us is guilty of being really terrible other people in public. But like,
human beings, we have the ability to be the best and the worst.
You have those jobs and then you learn how, like, you should act in public. So it's like, I don't want to be like, Bob over here that was like screaming at me over a steak that was cooked a little too much.
And I think it also helps, like, when you come into bigger situations that are outside of the service industry in life, you can also attack it in a better way because you're like, oh, this is what happens if you're, like, in this type of situation. These are how people come at you. You can defuse it going these steps, or, like, I can approach it this way to kind of get people to be like, oh, you're right. Let me not, come and shoot you in the face because you didn't give me a crouton.
Right.
Like, I think it really helps you overall just understand people. and just in a different light. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy. Dang. What do you want to talk about?
Anything, man.
I don't know. Like, damn.
Well, for everyone listening, this is like the first real conversation that him and I have had in the like 2 years that we've known each other.
Yeah. It's always been like very, I don't even say surface level, but it's just been like, how's it going?
Yeah,
What's
it's
up?
always just
this is what we're doing.
It's always just been me acting a fucking fool and just like I was telling a friend the other day, I was like, yeah, I'm doing this podcast with this guy, and like, you know, the most that we ever talk is like when I'm trying to make him drink at a bar because he's like, I don't know if I want to drink, and I'm like, you should get a drink.
You should get a drink, and I'm like, but money, and he's like, no, but you should. It's like memories and stuff. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
All right, here. You have any questions for me?
Brunswick.
Brunswick? Oh my god.
How did you meet? Let's talk about all the boys.
Okay, all the boys.
Brunswick and how you met all of them.
Awesome. So we'll start with Avery because I actually met Avery first.
Yeah,
now,
same.
When we talk about the boys, we're talking about Tim Dunkard, Avery Bell, Lane Silva.
I love Lane so much, dude.
Dude, oh my gosh. It's so great. Chris Humphrey, Garrett. What's Garrett's last name?
Johnson.
Garrett Johnson.
God, I love Garrett so much too.
And Lil Tim. I love Lil Tim. Like, I love all those guys. So it's both the bands, Royal Oaks and Goodfires. Those are all the members of both those bands. Let's see. Lane. I met Lane. I'm sorry. No, I met Avery first. I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
I met Avery at my second job, or my second lifeguarding job. My third job, second lifeguarding job. Mm-hmm. I'd seen him around because I was homeschooled all the way through. And I knew his, one of the girls he dated, I knew her and her brother. So I'd seen him, but didn't really know him. He also did not have his Jesus hair or his Jesus beard.
Right.
So he was super chilled in, super same dude, super awesome. And then we worked for, like, I think a summer together. And then I didn't see him for like 1.5 to 2 years. Mm-hmm. And that's the next time I saw him, he had like the Avery Bell look.
Yeah.
Tim Dunkard, how did I meet him? I know I had to have met him around the time I met Lane. Mm-hmm. I know I met Lane either at Vermelli Boys Pizza or somewhere else. Have you been to Vermelli Boys yet?
I've heard about it.
That's where I used to work there with Lane before he left, and then I left. Vermelli Boys is so dope. Yeah. Shout out to Chester Vermel and his dad Peter and their mom. Like, oh my gosh, that place is phenomenal. Super great.
There's so much like spots in Brunswick that I've heard about. Mm-hmm. And earlier this year I was able to go to Brunswick with all of them.
Nice.
And we hit up Wake Up.
Okay, Wake Up Coffee.
And dude, it was so good.
Which one did you go to? Because
we did the Brunswick one.
The Brunswick one?
Yeah.
You should go to the Island one. I used to go to the Island all the time. And then they opened up the one inland. And I like the one in inland, but like I just have so many more memories on the one on St. Simon's that it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Chris and Tim, Big Tim, they worked at that restaurant. They worked at the restaurant in the mall.
Ruby Tuesdays?
Ruby Tuesdays. Because I used to go to the movie theaters all the time. And I'd always walk by Ruby Tuesdays before I started working at GameStop. And I would always see them. And I was like, oh, hey. And for some reason, there was somebody in there that I would go and talk to. And I ended up just like being friends with them from like just back and forth. Mm-hmm. Maybe I met them outside of work. But that's off the top of my head. I just remember where people worked. Mm-hmm. And I'd always be in there saying hi to somebody else. So I just ended up meeting everybody that's all around. So, yeah. Garrett is an enigma.
Yeah.
I say that, like, I don't know where I met him. I cannot remember.
Yeah.
But he himself is an enigma. He's a wonderful enigma. I love him.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Yes, absolutely.
Next time I go down to Brunswick, I need to make sure I see him.
Yeah.
And he works at Wake Up now.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes,
that's pretty wild. That is pretty wild.
He's making, like, fat stacks on tips, too.
Oh, for real.
Yeah.
What? My sister just started working down in Brunswick. So I'm be like, Samantha, you should also work at Wake Up, too.
Yeah.
Like, we know, like, everybody that has ever worked there somewhat. So I'm like, you should do it.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how I met all those guys. And whenever I left Brunswick, we had just started hanging out a little bit before Lane and Avery and them moved up here, and I was actually supposed to move with them at one point. It was like talks. We were in talks about moving. I was going to move with them in the first Beef Castle. But for some reason, I think it was on my end that I couldn't do it. And I was like, and let me make sure I need more money and all this stuff to get situated. So they're like, we're gone, deuces. And they ended up leaving several months after when they said they wanted to. So I could have come up there with them. But I think it all worked out perfectly.
Right.
And then I moved up here with them, lived with them for 2 months, found a place, and then moved out. So yeah, that's it. It's so chill. It's so chill. Brunswick is a weird, crazy place. As we talked about, we were talking about this before the podcast. Brunswick is such a...
I loved it. Like, we were only there for a little bit, but I was like, this is so cool. I mean, it's probably the same thing, like, with anyone that I know that, like, will go to where I used to live. It's probably just, like, they're probably like, oh, this is so cool. And I'm like, boy, this is boring town right here.
I like Brunswick for the first day that I'm there.
Right.
And then I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Like, I love all the people, and I'll stay. Like, I generally stay longer than I want to, just to see, like, all my friends and, like, people that I haven't caught up with in a long time. And then I just get really annoyed, and I get really tired. I want to leave ASAP. But it's, like, the place itself is beautiful. It's got a lot of rich history. The people are awesome. You have, one of the things, have you ever heard, Welcome to Night Vale? It's this podcast that is about this, like, this small town out in, like, the middle of nowhere in Utah or something like that. And they have all these, like, weird supernatural and, like, sci-fi events that happen and stuff like that. I feel like happens in Brunswick all the time.
Right.
So yeah, Brunswick's really interesting, and it has a lot of history to it. And it's got a lot of, like, interestingness to it. And it's somewhere that I can see myself going back to.
Right. That Lane says the same
thing. As an older person. But, like, there's a million things I haven't done, and I'm not doing it in Brunswick. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. God, Brunswick is also just so far away. Like, it's like 4 or 5 hours away.
4.5 hours. Ugh. I can make it in one trip without stopping. It's not bad.
It's
a chill drive.
Without stopping?
I'll listen to, like, a podcast or some music, and I'm just like, just driving.
Jeez,
rolling. How far is home for you? Because
Blue Ridge is like
an hour away.
From like Atlanta, it's like 2 hours away. From like where I'm living now is like an hour and a half. I can definitely make that drive in an hour because I tend to drive faster than I should.
Okay. Tell me all.
But yeah. It's probably an hour, 2 hours away, depending on where you are.
Nice. What is that area like? Is it?
It's a tourist town in the mountains. Like it's like at the one end of the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
I've always heard about it, but I've never been
to Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's
like it's really nice.
It is like now that I'm like I don't live there anymore, obviously, and like now I'm older. I'm like I'll go up and visit. I'm like, man, I kind of wish I still lived here. Because it's like. It's really nice. All the people are really nice. You know, you can leave your doors unlocked up there.
Nice. White people town.
Yeah, basically. And it's just, especially in the summertime, dude, it's just like so nice because you've got like Lake Blue Ridge. You've got all the other lakes up in like North Georgia, like in Blairsville or like Hiawassee, or Young Harris, like all that. You can go hiking. You can go downtown, like go to all the shops down there and,
see, like it sounds like you can do, it's like just chill.
Yeah.
It sounds just chill.
I mean, it is, but it's also, it's like, it's not like when I was living there with my brothers and my mom, like we're all like in our late teen years, like 18, 19, stuff like that. And it's just like, we've all graduated high school. There's nothing else for us to do.
That's true. That is very true.
We don't want to work at, me and my two older brothers, we all worked at the McDonald's, and it's the only McDonald's up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, or it's the only McDonald's in Fannin County.
Okay.
We all work there, and it's like, we don't want to work here forever. We don't want to work at the Ingalls.
Yeah.
Or, when we lived there, they didn't have a Walmart. And
really?
We moved away, and then they built one. God damn it.
Whenever I moved away, our Walmart went from, I didn't move away yet. It was before I moved. It was when I first moved to my parents' house. Our Walmart went from 24 hours to like, from 11 or like 9 a.m. in the morning to 12. And I'm like, what? It's fucking Walmart in Brunswick. No one has anything else to not do.
No.
Like, what we used to do is we just like stand around in parking lots after we go to the movies, stand around in a parking lot, hang out, go to Walmart. We'd like we had a very specific route we'd take. We'd come in through the food section, but then we'd walk across the front area, go through like all the all the home departments, and we end up to the toys, go across the electronics, end up on the other side of the food, and like we just like walk around. And if
sounds like a typical route for a bunch of young adults to go through in Walmart.
Going through Walmart, and then we only go to Target like whenever it was like daytime and Target was open, because they're always like, we're gonna close and be done, get out of here. We'd go to Target because a lot of our friends worked at Target. So we'd be like, if you literally are not doing anything on a day, just go to Target and you're like running like half your friends.
Right.
And you'll be like, oh, am I getting you in trouble because you're like on the clock?
Yeah.
I've got nothing to do though. So like, you should sacrifice your job for me, bro.
Yeah.
So but it's very small town-esque. I kind of miss that. Like now that I'm like talking about it, I'm like, absolutely. I kind of miss it. But like, I'm glad I have grown past it.
Yeah. Blue Ridge doesn't even have a Target.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like they definitely would.
I'm saying, like, we were driving through Brunswick, and I'm thinking, like, of all the things that I remember that are in Blue Ridge, and what's there now, and, like, what was there when I lived there, and what's been put there since I moved.
Yeah.
And Brunswick still has a lot more than Blue Ridge.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
Like, my graduating class was, like, 182 people. And that's not counting the, like, 5 or 6 people who didn't walk. Because they didn't graduate on time.
Dang. So. I had 2 graduations. I think there was 2 other people, me and 2 other girls. And then when I graduated in Orlando, I was, like, one of 300 and something kids. Because I was at a homeschool convention,
It's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people. So, it's come to that time in every episode where I ask you a question from our previous guest.
Oh, boy.
For those of you who don't know who our previous guest is, you should go back to the last episode and listen to it, because I'm not going to tell you who it is. Do better for your life and listen to this podcast better. Are you ready for your question, Brandon?
Yes.
If you had the power to change one thing on this earth, and it would be changed irrevocably, what would it be?
Oh, jeez.
And if you need the definition for irrevocably...
I think I kind of understand what that word means, but I would definitely, it would definitely help. For everyone listening, I went to school in Yeehaw land, so they don't use big words up there.
Irrevocably, in a way that cannot be changed, reversed, or recovered. So yeah. But nice.
I don't know, because this is probably gonna be a long answer right here, because last year I did a lot of like working on myself, and I was like, I'm sure at various points, I don't exactly remember all the thought process I had last year, but I'm sure at various points in the year I was like, I wish I didn't, do this or do that, but it's like, if I didn't do this or that, I wouldn't be this now. I wouldn't think about this the way I do, or, things like that. So I don't necessarily know if I would change anything, because then, things wouldn't be what they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's I'm sure tons of people are like, I would change, things about like World War II, something random like that. And it's like, okay, if you did, then, the world wouldn't be what it is now.
Right.
And I'm sure in some ways, if some things changed about World War II, maybe we wouldn't have nuclear weapons, and that'd be sick. Yeah. But,
But, like, who knows whatever else that, like...
Yeah.
What that could have affected. I just was asked this question recently in a personal conversation. And my answer, I've been asking everybody it's very much the same question. And it's like, if there's one thing in the world you could change, what would it be? And for me, I told that person, I was like, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Like, fuck everybody. Fuck the world. The world's shit. Like, what I would do is affect the next person next to me. Is affect their life to the point to where they can see the potential that they have. And they have this ability to be who they need to be in life, and, like, their dreams and aspirations. Because in doing that, you equip them to share that with somebody else, and then do what they feel like they're called to do. And then they help the next person, the next person, the next person. So it's a domino effect. So if you can, in fact, instead of stop looking at the big picture, look at, like, what can I do, like, to help the person right next door to me? Because, like, you don't know what's happening in Pablo's house right next door.
Yeah.
That you could be like, oh, Pablo, your drain's, like, messed up because of this. and you just change it instead of being like, Pablo needs to get a new house because his drain's messed up. Like, you can fix it. Like, help people. Like, chill out, calm down. So, yeah, that's my answer for that.
Yeah, I don't believe in like changing things. You know, like that you can't change because it happened.
Yeah,
and it happened for a reason, and that's so cliche to say, but you know, it happened for a reason. And you know, every day you live, it's like you're living for that reason. That you know, whatever has happened, you know. So
nice.
Probably doesn't make any sense, but.
Short
answer, I wouldn't change anything.
What would your question be for our next guest? And I did not tell you this. I tell everybody. It can be funny, serious, thoughtful, provoking, like literally anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about this all week.
Ooh.
And it's kind of a 2-part question.
Okay.
And it's going to be, are you really doing what makes you happy with your life? And if you're not, why aren't you?
Ooh. Y'all are like, oh my gosh. Like, I feel like y'all are trying to call people out. Like, every guest is like coming out with questions. I'm like, dang. Like,
yeah, I mean.
I'm waiting for my first funny one. Nobody's done something funny. Everyone's just like asking these like deep questions, and it's good. I'm not mad at it, but I'm like, y'all about to be like, who the fuck asked me that fucking question? I'm gonna fucking meet this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean.
That's a really good question, though, like, for real.
Yeah, because like what we were talking about earlier, it's like, you know, when you're like, were you going to go to college and stuff like that? A lot of it was, a lot of like I'm going to go and I'm going to get this information. And it was like, oh, I don't know what I want to do now. It's like, it's all led to like me attempting to do what I want to do with my life, which is at this point in time, photography, God forbid it freaking changes to something else. And I have to learn some other kind of art and I want to rip my hair out. So.
Well, I believe that you have the potential to do any and everything. I've actually been walking into a lot of different hats. And so I encourage you to keep with the photography. But if you have the opportunity to take on some more things, do it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you'll love it. Like once you get into it, but like it'll be daunting at first, maybe. But like once you get into it, you're just like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I think about that, and I you know, it's kind of like, God, how could I even take on another like way of creating? You know, but I think about like personally what I've done in the past of like drawing and playing music and you know, stuff like that. And like I'll think about my aunt who she, for my entire life that I can remember, she's done so many forms of art, and now she's a cake artist, but she's also now making candles. So it's kind of like I do have the capacity to do more than one thing, but I'm so like focused, like hyper focused on trying to make photography a thing. It's just like at this point in time, I'm just like, how could I even take on something else? How could I learn something else? You know, stuff like that. Which I mean, I don't know what else I could possibly take on because I feel like I've done most art things in some way, shape, or form. But you know, this is the most serious that I've done. One thing. So
yeah, that was pretty freaking dope.
Yeah,
like, thank you for being on the podcast, dude.
Yeah, like I said, I've been looking forward to this for since you asked me to do it. So I'm glad that we have been able to finally do it. And we've had this first real conversation.
Yes,
and
it's been encapsulated for eternity.
Yeah, and now you're probably like, oh, this dude isn't a fucking clown.
No.
So
you've always struck me as like everybody in like that group of guys is very like calm and like laid and chilled back, and like I feel like I'm the fucking clown because I'm like, what's up, guys? And I just like show up and I'm like, and everybody's like, I like this guy, he's crazy. And so I've always seen you as like one of the others that are just very much like, we all chilling here. It's like, ain't like y'all act like there's literally nothing going on in the world, and you're just like, life's chill. I'm here.
Just so stuck in thought of like, you know, very very important things.
Yeah,
like, are my avocados ripe right now?
Oh my gosh, is the salt on my avocado toast, is it kosher? Like, those are the real questions we need to ask.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna close this out. Thank you for listening to this episode of Perspectives with Jeremiah Stephenson. I'm your host, Jeremiah Stephenson. You can find me on Instagram at PARKOURG33K. I do know my Instagram handle. You can also find me on YouTube at A Token's Take, ATOKEN''S Find me on Facebook, but if you do, I'm probably not going to add you because I don't know who the fuck you are.
Right.
Brandon, take us away. Oh, and make sure you have to tag.
Yeah.
Plug anything.
Yeah.
Plug any and everything.
First and most importantly, do give Jeremiah a follow on all his things that he's mentioned if you want to. And if you don't, I'm going to come find you and beat you up. Go follow my absolute boys in Goodfires on Instagram. I think it's Goodfires on Facebook also. I believe in them so much, and I do so much work for them, and it's always a pleasure to get to hang out and work for them. And last and probably least important, if you want to, follow me on Instagram.
You will.
It's Brand Takes Photos. Follow my it's funny that I was saying, how could I take on another thing? But I just remembered I'm doing another thing.
You're doing another thing, yeah.
Follow my Instagram, my film project. It's a year on film. I'm doing a roll of film every month, posting it on there. It's been real cool.
Mm-hmm. It has been really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Yeah. Follow all those people, and yeah.
Also, like and subscribe on whatever you're listening it to.
Yeah.
Apparently somebody was like, you need to get your like favorites and likes and your comments and stuff up on Apple. And I was like, okay, I'm just doing this for like me and like the one person that needs to hear it. But I also do know I have to build my brand. So, like it on Google Play, leave comments and rate it on Apple. And then whatever Spotify asks you to do it because they apparently are God and Savior. So, all right, y'all. Thank you for listening. Be loved by life. Be. Deuces.
See ya.